I think Scott Pruitt is an Idiot is going to become a regular series on this channel. And for the second edition, we're going to look at him once again dodging a question, but this time I'm just going to show you it upright. Let's watch his interview on Morning Joe.
Which at its core is about climate change and the world's impact and human impact on it. You never raised that with President Trump in a meeting?
The focus of the discussion.
Now, notice how yes or no that question is.
Was on the merits and demerits of what Paris sought to achieve. You know what's interesting about the whole discussion? When you look at what was achieved,
Mr. Pruitt, it's a simple question. Mr. Pruitt, it's a simple question. Have you ever talked to the president about whether he believes climate change is real? Does he still believe that it was a hoax launched in China?
I think, Joe.
Wouldn't you like to know?
No, he wouldn't, because if the answer is yes, that would ruin his entire business.
I think what's important, Joe, is that the president has said that we need, when we make decisions on environmental decisions internationally, that we put America's interests first. And
right, I understand that. I agree with that.
The president said the climate is changing.
I agree with that. We're just trying to get an answer from you. I agree we should always put America first. I disagree with getting out of Paris because it's voluntary. The goals set were voluntary. But I just want, again, it's important for Americans to know, whether their president believes that global warming was hatched as a conspiracy theory in China.
And, Joe, I think with respect to the voluntary contributions that you're talking about, the 26 to 28%, when you look at domestically, third-party lawsuits, you've heard about the litigation where the EPA is sued and compels regulatory response. What the framers of the Paris Accord understood is that America would take regulatory steps to carry out that 26 to 28% reduction. And when we're withdrawing through the Energy Independent Executive Order, the Clean Power Plan as an example, that creates a gap of almost 60%. So it created exposure with respect to the obligations created in Paris legally here.
Okay. I'm sorry. I've got to stop. I want to stop it, and this interview has to stop in its tracks until I just get a yes/no answer from you on whether you believe it's important that Americans find out whether their president believes that climate change is a conspiracy theory based out of China.
I mean, the president has indicated, Joe, that the climate is changing. I indicated during my confirmation process that there's a trend with respect to the climate, and moreover, there's a human contribution to it. Measuring that with precision is very difficult. The real question is, what do we do about it? And what we've done as a country is lead through innovation and technology. And as I indicated, since the year 2000, a reduction of over 18% in that CO2 footprint. So you see that through hydraulic fracturing. You see that through horizontal drilling. You won't hear that from the environmental left. We ought to be exporting that to other nations across the globe so they can convert to natural gas and help their power generation.
Oh my God. It was a yes or no question, Scott. All you had to say was, yes, I do believe it is important that the American people know whether or not President Trump thinks climate change is a conspiracy, or no, I don't. That's all you had to say, Scott. Instead, you rambled for about 3 minutes about how, I'll have you know that actually, I don't even get his points most of the time. For that matter, but the last section he sort of started talking about the issue, and that was, yes, we do believe in it. However, if you noticed, he said that the issue was fossil fuels, and what we need to do is use fracking. That literally does not make any sense, Scott. Fracking involves getting more fuels. Now, don't get me wrong, fracking isn't as dangerous as a lot of people think it is, and I used to think it was. We've been doing fracking for about 50 years, and I've only starting now to see some of the negative results. So, I don't think it is as dangerous as a lot of people think it is. However, I do think we should only use fracking for a short term as sort of a way to get to green energy. That's another story. And for that matter, here's the thing I don't get. Scott Pruitt is basically contradicting himself in a sentence. It's basically saying, listen, fossil fuels are the problem. Now let's go frack. And who can blame him? Again, I'm going to keep repeating this because it's true. Scott Pruitt is the EPA head. He has sued the EPA 14 different times. Now, I'll be fair and say maybe 1 or 2 of those were justified. Maybe the EPA did overstep its bounds at some point, and Scott Pruitt was right. 14 times! I guarantee you at least a few of them are unjust. That's the type of man Scott Pruitt is, and once again, Scott Pruitt is an idiot. I'm Ephrom, and good night.